Hi to everyone, my name is Siti Nurul Syuhada, and today I would like to present about the male reproductive system. The male reproductive system is responsible for producing, storing, and delivering sperm for reproduction. It consists of external sexual organs, internal structures, and accessory glands that work together to ensure the production of sperm and the successful delivery of semen during ejaculation. In major organs, the external sexual organs include the penis and the scrotum, which play key roles in the sexual function and the temperature regulations. Internally, the male reproductive system features structures that form a continuous tube through which sperm travels, which are testes, epididymis, vas deferens, ejaculatory duct, and urethra. Meanwhile, in the accessories organs, there are accessories glands that contribute essential fluids to semen, which nourish and protect sperm during ejaculation. These organs include seminal vesicles, prostatic glands, and bulbourethral glands. Let's start with the first organ, which is the penis. The penis is the male external sexual organs. It is located above the scrotum and below the umbiculus. Structurally, the penis is cylindrical in shape and contains the urethra, which plays a role in both the reproductive and excretory systems. During arousal, the erectile tissue within the penis fills with blood. This process causes the penis to increase in size and become firm, enabling sexual intercourse. The penis serves two primary functions. From a reproductive perspective, it delivers semen into the female reproductive tract during intercourse. Additionally, the penis plays an excretory role by passing urine out of the body through the urethra. Next, about the scrotum. The scrotum plays a crucial role in maintaining the temperature of the testes below 37 degrees Celsius, which is essential for healthy sperm production. The temperature of the scrotum changes based on external conditions to ensure the testes remain at the optimal temperature for spermatogenesis. The regulation of the scrotal temperature is controlled by two primary muscles, which are the dartos muscle and the cremastal muscles. The dartos muscle is a layer of small muscle that located in the subcutaneous tissue of the scrotum. In response to cold temperatures, this muscle contracts, causing the scrotum to wrinkle. This wrinkling helps reduce heat loss and maintain the proper temperature that necessary for sperm production. Meanwhile, for the cremastal muscles is a thin skeletal muscle that is connected to the testes and the spermatic cord. This muscle is derived from the internal oblique muscles of the abdominal wall. As we know, the scrotum plays a vital role in maintaining the temperature of the testes, which is essential for the process of spermatogenesis. The testes are kept at a temperature of around 35 degrees Celsius, which is slightly lower than normal body temperature. This lower temperature is necessary for healthy production of sperm. The scrotum responds to changes in environmental temperature to protect the testes and ensure proper function. This regulation is managed by the contraction and relaxation of two muscles, which are the dartos and the cremastal muscles. In cold temperature, when the external temperature drops, the dartos and cremastal muscles contract involuntarily. As a result, the testes are pulled closer to the body to absorb warmth from the pelvic region. This contraction also causes the scrotum to wrinkle, preventing heat loss. Whereas, during warm condition, the dartos and cremastal muscles relax, allowing the testes to lower away from the body. The scrotum becomes more flaccid to help dissipate heat and maintain the ideal temperature for spermatogenesis.
My name is Goh San, and I will explain about testes. Testis is the pair of shaped organs located in the scrotum outside the abdominal cavity. Testis is covered by three layers, which are tunica vaginalis, the outermost layer, tunica albuginea, the fibrous capsule, and also tunica vasculosa, the innermost vascular layer. Each lobule of testis contains 1 to 4 seminiferous tubules. Testes play an important role in spermatogenesis, which is the process to produce sperms in seminiferous tubule. Testis also important in hormone production, which is testis will secrete testosterone and other androgens. Testosterone is important in stimulating the production of sperm. Next, seminiferous tubules are coiled tubular structures located within each testicular lobule. Around 90% of the weight of each testis consists of seminiferous tubules. There is over 90 million of tightly packed seminiferous tubules in each testis. It is also lined by a germinal epithelium consisting of spermatogenic cells and also Sertoli cells. Functions of seminiferous tubules is it is the primary site of spermatogenesis. When the sperm is produced, sperm will move from seminiferous tubules into the ready testis for further maturation. It also provides microenvironment for development of spermatogonia into mature spermatozoa. The interstitial cells, or also known as cells of Leydig, are located in the interstitial spaces between seminiferous tubules. It is round or polygonal cells with prominent nuclei, numerous smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and also lipid-rich cytoplasm. The function of interstitial cells is it will produce testosterone and regulated by luteinizing hormone LH from anterior pituitary. Sertoli cells, or also known as sustentacular cells, are activated by follicle-stimulating hormone FSH. It also contains FSH receptor on its membrane. It is pyramid-shaped cells that are located within seminiferous tubules. Sertoli cells, also known as nurse cells for testes, and it will nourish the growing sperm cells during spermatogenesis. It will protect germ cells from infection and also immune responses. It also consumes the uneaten portions of spermatozoa during maturation phase. Efferent ductales are a series of small ducts connecting the ready testes to the epididymis. It is lined by a mix of ciliated and non-ciliated epithelial cells and surrounded by smooth muscle. The function of efferent ductales is to transport sperm out of the testis and into epididymis by smooth muscle contraction and also ciliary action. Non-ciliated cells will reabsorb the excess fluid to concentrate the sperm.
Hello, my name is Dalila. I will continue the presentation of anatomy part of male reproductive. So, epididymis consists of three parts, which is head, body, and tail. Head will help to carry the sperm from the testes, and body is a highly convoluted middle part. And lastly, tail help to carry the sperm to the vas deferens. Epididymis also help act as a site to store sperm until the next ejaculation and help to give nourishment to the sperm. Okay, for ductus or vas deferens, it is a tube that connects the epididymis to the urinary tract at the back of the bladder via the ejaculatory duct, which is the ejaculatory duct will be explained later. And of course, the function has a connection with its structure, which is it helps to transport the mature sperm and seminal fluid to the urethra in preparation for ejaculation. Next is seminal vesicle. It appears as convoluted pouch-like structure, and the function of seminal vesicles is to secrete fructose to provide energy source for sperm and alkalinity to enhance sperm mobility. It also helps to secrete clotting factor to help coagulate semen after ejaculation. Next is ejaculatory ducts. Ejaculatory ducts is a tube that is formed by the joining of the vas deferens and the duct of the seminal vesicle, and both ejaculatory ducts empty into the single urethra. And each ejaculatory duct will receive the sperm from the ductus deferens and the secretion of the seminal vesicle on its own. Lastly is the prostate gland. Prostate gland, as you can see here, the shape is like a donut-shaped gland, and the size of prostate gland is just about the size of a golf ball. And the function of prostate gland is to produce a large portion of the fluid that backs up semen. And this fluid is milky white in color and contains enzyme, protein, and other chemicals to support and protect the sperm during ejaculation.
Hello everyone, myself Keshni from Dietetics Year 1. Now I'm going to give you all a short overview about urethra, corpus gland, and semen. So what is urethra? Urethra is a tube that serves as a passageway for both urine and semen, but not at the same time. Means it won't produce as a passageway, not simultaneously. Next is corpus gland. Corpus gland are bulbourethral glands, which are small, round glands in the male reproductive system that secrete a clear alkaline mucus to lubricate and neutralize the urethra. Next is semen. Semen is the fluid that contains sperm and is ejaculated during sexual reproduction. So there are three functions of semen. First is to provide a medium for sperm mobility. Next is to contain nutrition like fructose for sperm energy. And the third one is to neutralize acidic environment in the female reproductive system. Next, I am going to give you all a short overview about erection and spermatogenesis. So erection is when your penis becomes hard and enlarged from an increase in blood flow. So there are about 6 processes involved in this erection. So the first one is stimulation, next is nerves and chemicals, increased blood flow, venous compression, hormones, and end of the erection. And the last one is spermatogenesis. So spermatogenesis is the process by which sperm cells, spermatozoa, are produced in the male reproductive system. So it will occur in the seminiferous tubules of the testes and involves several stages like initiation, meiosis, spermiogenesis, and maturation.
Next, female reproductive system. In female reproductive system, there are 2 ovaries, 2 oviducts, a uterus, a vagina, and an external genitalia. The function of female reproductive system is to produce female gametes, which is oocytes, hold a fertilized oocyte, and also produce sexual hormone. So, this is the picture of ovaries. Ovaries has pair of small glands located on left and right side of pelvic, lateral to the superior portion of the uterus. The function of ovaries is to produce female sex hormones such as estrogen and progesterone. Ova that produced by oocyte cell slowly develop throughout woman's early life and reach maturity after puberty. During ovulation, A mature ovum will release every month. Next, we move to fallopian tubes. Fallopian tube is pair of muscular tubes extend from left and right superior corner of uterus. The fallopian tubes an infernal-shaped structure called infundibulum covered with a small finger-like projections called fimbriae for transport to the uterus. Inside each fallopian tube is covered in cilia with smooth muscle to carry the ovum to the uterus. Last but not least, we go to uterus. Uterus is a hollow muscular pear-shaped organ located posterior and superior to the urinary bladder, connected to two fallopian tubes on its superior and vagina. Also known as womb, as it surrounds and supports the development of uterus during pregnancy. Inner lining of uterus, known as endometrium, provides support to embryo during early development. Vesical muscles of the uterus contract during childbirth to push fetus through birth canal.
The vagina is an elastic muscular tube that connects the cervix of the uterus to the exterior of the body. It is located inferior to the uterus and posterior to the urinary bladder. The vagina functions as the receptacle for the penis during sexual intercourse and carries sperm to the uterus and fallopian tube. It also serves as the birth canal by stretching to allow delivery of the fetus during childbirth. During menstruation, the menstrual flow exits the body via the vagina. The vulva is the collective name for the external female genitalia located in the pubic region of the body. The vulva surrounds the external end of the uteral opening and the vagina and includes the mons pubis, labia majora, labia minora, and clitoris. The mons pubis or pubic mound is a raised layer of adipose tissue between the skin and the pubic bone that provide cushioning to the vulva. The inferior portion of the mons pubis split into left and right halves called the labia majora. The mons pubis and labia majora are covered with pubic hair. Inside of the labia majora are smaller, hairless fold of the skin called the labia minora that surround the vaginal and uteral opening. On the superior end of the labia minora is a small mass of erectile tissue known as the clitoris that contain many nerves ending for sensing sexual pleasure. The abdominal aorta supplies the ovarian arteries, which primarily supply the ovaries and fallopian tube. The internal iliac arteries give rise to the uterine and vaginal arteries, ensuring adequate blood flow to the uterus, vagina, and other pelvic structure. This network of arteries ensure oxygen and nutrient delivery to the reproductive organ, critical for their proper function.
Hi everyone, I'm Alia Mariam and I'm going to explain about menstruation. Menstruation is the cycle of changes that occurs in the uterus and ovaries for sexual reproduction. It is characterized by regular changes in the endometrium, which leads to menstrual bleeding. The first menstruation, menarche, begins usually when a woman reaches 13, and it continues until they reach 50 when they reach menopause. Menstruation lasts about 25 to 35 days on average and has two cycles, which are the uterine cycle and the ovarian cycle. The first phase of the uterine cycle is called the menstrual phase. It causes a discharge of blood and cellular debris from the female genital tract. The menstrual phase is a sign that a woman has not become pregnant. The menstrual phase also causes an average blood loss of 35 milliliters, with 10 to 80 milliliters being considered normal. The menstrual phase lasts on average 3 to 5 days, but 2 to 7 days is also considered normal. The menstrual phase causes a decrease in estrogen and progesterone levels, which results in the shrinkage of the endometrium, coiling and spasm of the arteries, which leads to the focal necrosis of the endometrium. The necrosed endometrium is shed along with blood and other secretions. The shrinkage of the endometrium and coiling and spasm of arteries leads to severe uterine pain during menstruation. Painful cramping in the abdomen and back or upper thighs is common during the first day of menstruation. The second phase of the uterine cycle is called the proliferative phase. It lasts about 10 days and occurs during the 5th to 14th day of the menstrual cycle. It causes the healing and proliferation of the endometrium. This causes the endometrium to increase in thickness to 3 to 5 millimeters. It occurs under the influence of estrogen, which causes the growth of simple tubular glands and blood vessels. It also causes the endometrial glands to produce a thick mucus. At the end of the proliferative phase, ovulation occurs. The third phase of the uterine cycle is the secretory phase. It starts after ovulation and extends up to the next menstrual cycle. It also lasts about 14 days. The action of progesterone and estrogen on the endometrium thickens up the endometrium up to 6 millimeters. The progesterone and estrogen also cause the glands to become bigger, tortuous, and filled with secretions. It also causes the stroma cells to become proliferate and spiral arteries to become more coiled and dilated. The first phase of the ovarian cycle is the follicular phase. It occurs on days 1 to 14 of the menstrual cycle. It starts when the hypothalamus releases the GnRH, which stimulates the pituitary gland to produce FSH. The FSH promotes the growth of ovarian follicles, each containing an egg. Stage 1 is when primordial follicles activate. The primordial follicle changes from a dormant state to a grown state when stimulated by the FSH. Stage 2 to 5 is the secondary follicle growth. Secondary follicle is a follicle that contains a fully grown oocyte surrounded by granulosa cells, zona pellucida, and theca interna and externa. Stage 6 to 7 is when it changes to mature vesicular follicle. A mature follicle, also known as a graphene follicle, is a follicle with a large fluid-filled space inside called the antrum. Next is stage 8, which is called dominant follicle selection. During each cycle, multiple primary prenatal follicles are recruited, but usually only one is selected to mature. Lastly is the rupturing follicle, which is stage 9. This is when ovulation occurs when the dominant follicle releases a mature egg. The ovulation phase is the second phase of the ovarian cycle. It occurs around day 14 of the menstrual cycle and involves the release of a mature egg from the ovarian follicles into the oviduct. During the follicular phase, estradiol suppresses the luteinizing hormone production but later triggers an LH surge around day 12, lasting about 48 hours. The surge matures the egg and weakens the follicular walls, releasing the secondary oocyte. The secondary oocyte matures into an oocyte and then matures into an ovum, which is 0.2 millimeters in size. The ovulation is random from either ovaries, and both ovaries may release eggs, possibly leading to fertile twins if both are fertilized. The egg is then swept into the fallopian tube by the fimbriae. If the eggs are unfertilized, it disintegrates within a day. Fertilization usually occurs in the ampulla of the fallopian tube, initiating embryogenesis. The embryo reaches the uterus in about 3 days and implants it to the endometrium 3 days later, typically at the blastocyst stage. The luteal phase is the final phase of the ovarian cycle. It occurs on days 15 to 28 of the menstrual cycle and corresponds to the secretory phase of the uterine cycle. After ovulation, FSH and LH cause the remnants of the dominant follicle to form the corpus luteum. The corpus luteum produces progesterone, which stimulates the production of estrogen in the adrenal gland while suppressing FSH and LH. The suppression of FSH and LH leads to the eventual atrophy of the corpus luteum. The falling progesterone levels trigger menstruation and the start of the next cycle. Unlike the variable follicular phase, the luteal phase is consistent, lasting about 14 days. If fertilization does occur, the syncytiotrophoblasts, which is the outer layer of the developing placenta, produces HCG, a hormone similar to LH, which preserves the corpus luteum. This allows the continued secretion of the progesterone to sustain the pregnancy.
Fertilization involves 7 phases, which are ovulation, sperm entry, acrosomal reaction, fusion, activation of the egg, zygote formation, and early development. During ovulation, the ovary releases an egg into the fallopian tube and it is ready to be fertilized. During sexual intercourse, the sperm enter the female reproductive system and swim towards the egg. And then, when a sperm reaches the egg, it releases enzymes to break through the egg's outer layer and allowing it to enter. The sperm and egg combine their genetic material, which is DNA, and form a zygote. Then the egg will be activated after the sperms enter and the embryo will begin to develop. The sperm and egg's DNA combine to create the zygote with a single cell with a full set of chromosomes, which half from the father and half from the mother. And lastly, for early development, the zygote begins to divide and grow and eventually forming an embryo, which will implant in the uterus to continue developing. After fertilization, pregnancy will happen in the female and will involve 3 phases, which are early development, fetal stage, and labor and birth. For early development, an embryo will start to grow and important organs and body parts begin to form. For the fetal stage, after about 8 weeks, the fetus will grow bigger and the organs become fully developed. And lastly, for labor and birth, around 9 months, which is 40 weeks, the baby is ready to born and will be delivered through the birth canal. Lastly is reproductive hormones. Reproductive hormones are instrumental in sexuality and fertility for female and male. The reproductive hormones for female are estrogen, progesterone, FSH, LH, HCG, and placenta-lactogen. For the estrogen, it helps develop female characteristics such as breasts and regulates the menstrual cycle. For progesterone, it prepares the uterus for pregnancy and helps to maintain it. FSH stimulates the growth of eggs in the ovaries, and LH triggers the ovulation, which the release of an egg from the ovary. HCG functions to defend against the maternal immune system during pregnancy, and placenta-lactogen supports fetal nutrition. The reproductive hormones involved in male are testosterone, FSH, and LH. Testosterone responsible for the development of male characteristics such as a deeper voice and facial hair and helps to produce sperm. FSH and LH has similar function which help in sperm production and the function of the testes.